list on the driving. First to Tracy, where the clock for retailers is ticking. Tracy, can you feel the excitement?
Yes, good afternoon, Charles. I can. It's just about 4 o'clock. Maybe you've already had an early Thanksgiving Day meal. Maybe you're getting ready to sit down with your family. But in just about an hour, Macy's here in Herald Square will open up their doors, officially kicking off the holiday shopping season. The doors here open at 5 p.m. They will close at 2 a.m., then open back up at 6 a.m. on Black Friday. Now, in addition to Macy's, there are already a number of stores, if you can believe it or not, already open this Thanksgiving. Bass Pro Shops, Kmart, JCPenney, and Old Navy, they opened up hours ago. In addition to Macy's opening up at 5 p.m., we've got Best Buy, Kohl's, Target, and then at 6 p.m., Walmart, Sears, Dick's Sporting Goods, and Victoria's Secret. Now, however, there are dozens of stores, maybe about 70 retailers who have decided that they're adamant about not opening up their doors this Thanksgiving. They want to make sure their employees are with their families. Same goes for the shoppers. Those stores that are not opening up today: Barnes & Noble, Costco, Hobby Lobby, Home Depot, Nordstrom, Sam's Club, TJ Maxx. Now, this is always a big debate, a back and forth. Should these stores be open? Should they not? But many retailers say this is what the shoppers want. They want to come out here after the Thanksgiving meal, after having dinner with their families, and get those deals. Now, according to the National Retail Federation, this is going to be a big week for shoppers. About 164 million people will be hitting the stores today through Cyber Monday. Today alone, 34 million people expected to be shopping. This year, holiday sales expected to be up by about 4% over last year, somewhere around $720 billion. Charles, we will send it back to you, wishing you a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you very much, Tracy. Well, we know shoppers have been feeling good heading into the holidays. Overall consumer confidence, in fact, on the pace right now for its best year since 2000. So will that carry over into more spending this season? Let's ask retail watchers Marshall Cohen and Vera Gibbons. Vera, let me start with you. Those are some hefty numbers that Tracy threw out there.
I think it's going to be pretty good. I mean, confidence is at an 18-year high, unemployment 50-year low, gas prices at a nice low. So people are feeling really good, and it's resulting in a lot of purchases, or will result in a lot of purchases. I mean, people are buying not only for others, but we're seeing a lot of self-gifting going on this holiday season.
Is that new? Is that something
more of it? We've seen it before, but more of it this year. People are feeling so good that they're indulging on themselves.
All right, I know what I'm going to now. I've got an excuse. So what do you think, Marshall? Just momentum carries us through the rest of the year?
There's no question that holiday is an important component to see how the rest of the year is going to shape up. But we've already got great momentum. A lot of retailers are feeling pretty confident about where they've been and certainly where they're going. And consumers actually are responding very well to the big deals. Retailers have taken out all the stops, offering up special, assortments that are really going to try to entice the consumer. It's gotten so competitive between online and stores, and then the retailers who do both are really trying to be competitive.
That's what the omni-channel, right? I mean, we've seen now where some of these brick and mortar guys have seen they've gotten their act together. They have figured out how to combine both of these things. Some are doing delivery, some are allowing pickup, but it seems to be working now because we want experiences, right? I mean, if you can order it online, so you've got to have a reason to go out there. They're figuring that out.
They're offering these ancillary services like DSW Shoe, for example. You buy some shoes, you go in and get a pedicure or a manicure. Lululemon's got the meditation rooms and things of that nature. The best example of this, of course, is FAO Schwartz. I mean, they've got the wall of Barbies. They've got the race car track for the kids to play on. They've got the piano. You can, keyboard lights up and down. So they are rolling out all the punches, and they're getting a lot of traffic.
Experiential shoppers now represent 40% of the holiday purchase.
Really?
It's huge. It's gotten to be huge. It's not, the rate is not growing at the same rate. The other interesting dynamic is we're at an inflection point. We've got to watch this year very carefully to see just how the pure play retailers grow compared to the retailers that are on both channels, and recognize, are they actually growing? Some of the indications are showing this might be the year where stores like Target and Walmart actually beat some of the big boys in the online world in growth rate.
Really?
So this is going to be a very interesting year.
That would be very interesting. It's so funny because Amazon, when they reported their earnings, they actually lowered their guidance for the fourth quarter. People took it as an indictment of holiday shopping, but others said, no, that's competition. So the brick and mortar guys not only survive, we're starting to go there in droves, huh?
Yep, exactly, right. So Amazon rolling out the free shipping was a woohoo for everybody, right?
Well, when you look, all of a sudden, November 1st, everybody was offering great deals, free shipping. A couple of stores even said, we're going to counter with free shipping earlier than ever. And remember, that erodes margin because that's something that they didn't necessarily plan for, and it's a cost of operating expense.
Well, that's why Walmart's not doing it. So they still have the $35 minimum purchase thing, but Target has said, free shipping, and some of the other retailers have been forced to follow suit because if you look at all the surveys that are out there, the one thing people don't want to pay for, shipping.
What's the key? We got a minute left. What's the one key? Because now on top of, we have seen wage growth. We've got 7 million job openings. People have to be relatively secure in their jobs. But all of a sudden, gas is going down like crazy. I mean, what's the key that will make this really a super holiday season, or is it just sort of all of the above?
It's really about the lack or the amount of innovation in product. Impulse purchase is a huge part. Self-gifting, as you mentioned early up front, is a very early part. So right now, as we go through Thanksgiving today, it's really about self-gifting and the deals. Then it moves into the gifting phase. Right. But if there isn't new and exciting and innovative products to both create the desire for you to buy for yourself, as well as add on additional gifts, that's what's missing. Lack of innovation may be the key to not getting huge growth in a really economically advantaged position.
Real quick, Baron, let me have your final thoughts.
Well, if you're shopping online, I mean, the key there is just to keep it simple, keep it streamlined, keep it convenient. So I think the retailers this year in particular, they are making sure it's fast, it's seamless, people can check out right away. There's not going to be any problems. I mean, they're rolling out all the punches. I mean, this is when they get like 20% of their sales for the year or something?
Could be more. Some categories like toys could do 40 to 50.
I've got permission to self-gift. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Well, coming up, some lawmakers talking of bipartisanship, but can they really make it happen?
Well, that's the question for Nancy Pelosi or whoever actually picks up the gavel. Because if you're House Democrats right now, you basically have two avenues to pursue. Either you can go the legislative route and actually get some work done in the House, but that risks increasing President Trump's stock as the sort of deal maker. Or you can go the investigative route, which I expect Democrats to pursue, and you unify the liberal base, but at the risk of sort of galvanizing pro-Trump conservatives ahead of 2020. Either way, what we're going to see coming out of the House is the tone that we're going to see in 2020.
Well, the tone has certainly picked up. Maxine Waters making she's like, I'm going to go after everyone, particularly anything associated with President Trump. Long, by the way, before he actually became president, she wants to find out his dealings with Deutsche Bank. Jerry Nadler, same sort of thing, and so you've got these older, established Democrats who've seen what's happened in the past. They know it's a risky political move, whereas the upstarts, the Alexandria Ocasio-Cortezes of the world, maybe they just don't know. They're like bulls in a china shop, and they just want to create havoc. Yet both sides seem intent on doing just that.
Right, because there are a lot more progressives in the liberal Democratic caucus than there are sort of blue dog Democrats. So my expectation is that, yes, they're going to push oversight as much as possible, and they're really going to try and weaponize the subpoena to try and make Trump sweat ahead of 2020. The question for Republicans is, how do they want to respond? Are they going to continue with a nice guy sort of shtick like we saw out of Paul Ryan, who is the lovable policy wonk, or Kevin McCarthy, who is the affable friend of everyone in Congress, or are they going to respond like Newt Gingrich would have and really bring the hammer down? The one thing that Republicans have as an advantage, though, is not since the advent of the Freedom Caucus are they going to be able to enjoy the sort of unified opposition here. So the question is, how are they going to respond to all of this? And I think that they have an opportunity to unite ahead of the presidential election, and I think that bears well for them when they're playing defense.
What about the wild card of how President Trump responds? It's been pretty interesting. He has made very positive overtures towards Nancy Pelosi. What if he just sort of plays the nice guy? I mean, listen, the Kavanaugh hearing showed that when the Republicans stand back and just allow this, this sort of Democratic vitriol to spill over, it works to their advantage.
It certainly does, and we could see a repeat of that situation. You know, I've been surprised a little bit with how complimentary President Trump has been to a lot of these different Democratic candidates who have lost their races. I mean, you saw him complimenting Gillum, and you saw him complimenting Nelson for hard-fought races. What I think is going to be really interesting is whether or not President Trump leans into the sort of deal maker persona that he promised us in 2016. Because if he does that and he helps push legislation through, he can kind of goad Democrats into going the legislative route instead of the investigative route. And I think that this is going to be his strategy because, you know, he offered recently, perhaps a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but he offered recently to even help whip votes for Nancy Pelosi to become Speaker. So if he wants to look like a moderate ahead of 2020, that's going to look very good for him.
And there's certainly things like infrastructure spending that we know near and dear to his heart and should be low-hanging fruit with respect to the Democratic Party. We'll see what happens. Phil, thank you very much.
Thank you, Charles. Happy Thanksgiving.
You too. Actress Alyssa Milano tweeting, there are over 20 productions shooting in Georgia. Is the entertainment industry willing to support the economy of a totally corrupt state that suppresses democracy, where the winner isn't the best choice for the people, but the best schemer or crook? Should Hollywood just butt out? Let's ask conservative commentator Madison Jessiato and Democratic strategist Kathy Arue. Madison, what do you make of this?
Hey, happy Thanksgiving to you both. You know, it's ridiculous. I'm calling their bluff here. I'm sure most of them that are out there preaching against Georgia right now will be shooting there in no time, just like they said in 2016. So many people in Hollywood said they're leaving the United States if Donald Trump becomes president. Guess what? He's been president for 2 years now. They are all still here, living in the United States of America. It's the greatest country in the world. Georgia's a fine state, and they're going to shoot there. They're just bluffing.
Kathy, I mean, it seems more and more like these Hollywood stars are spoiled. Listen, the election is over, the votes have been counted, and a winner has been declared.
Yeah, but they do have the right. I mean, that's the beauty of America. They do have the right to voice their opinion. So they're going to do so. And Alyssa Milano has apparently not stopped since the election. So she's going to keep on going. And why not? If she doesn't agree with the outcome, if they don't agree with the outcome, then don't go to Georgia. No Walking Dead for Alyssa Milano. But Tyler Perry has a production studio there, and they're very successful. That's the #1 studio in the country. And they have no plans of moving. But if Tyler Perry is upset, I think he's a Democrat, actually. If he's upset, I'm sure he'll move his studio. And it's the American way. He can do so if he wishes.
You know, it's interesting. The industry also gets $1 billion tax credits. So, you know, it's not like they're altruistic in all of this, Madison. And there's a serious economic, you know, they get some pretty good perks for filming there already. And again, I guess Kathy's right. If they want to leave, they can leave. And you can extend this further. If conservative voters don't want to watch their movies, they don't have to. I mean, I guess we could all go into our own individual sandbox and sulk about all of it.
Oh, of course. I mean, everybody has the right to do what they want to do. If they don't want to watch the movies or they don't want to go a certain place and film the movies, they don't have to. But yet, I think they're just speaking louder than their actions. And I don't think they're actually going to stick to what they're saying here. I think they will film in Georgia because simply there's a lot of films being filmed there that are great films, that are great studios, and people are going to want to be out there. And for some of these celebrities that say they're not going to go, guess what? Other celebrities will go in their place. So the films will still get made, and they will still get made in Georgia.
They'd also have a hard time, Kathy, explaining to people who work in the film industry there, who might have voted for their candidate, why did you abandon us just because we lost? You know, Stacey Abrams herself has asked the entertainment industry not to go anywhere.
Exactly. My cousins, actually, the Arue brothers, they're presidents and vice presidents of movie studios down in Georgia, and they left California to go to Georgia. But if they are liberals, then they will leave and go back to California. So
there's a reason, though, that people have left California, right? I mean, I think we've gone years without, maybe every year, one movie. There have been some years where 0 movies have been made in California. The regulations are too high. The taxes are too high. So, you know, you got to really be so upset about this that you're willing to take a serious financial hit.
Right, but celebrities, they have the voice and people listen. So Alyssa Milano right now, people are listening. So she's speaking. When we're tired of hearing her, I think we're just going to all just stop listening to her.
I don't think that many people are really going to listen, Kathy. When it comes down to it, money speaks louder than Alyssa Milano.
Yeah, but we're talking about her. People are talking about her. So she does have a megaphone right now, and we're listening.
Well, of course. And of course she has a megaphone.
It.
But when it comes down to making business decisions, I don't think that's the person they're looking to.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. We saw a lot of stars, a lot of athletes come out for Hillary Clinton. They pressed hard. They campaigned hard. They paid for commercials. And it didn't necessarily get over the finishing line. It didn't work for Taylor Swift in the midterms either. So, yeah, people listen, Kathy, but I'm not sure that it necessarily moves the needle.
But at least the conversation's being had. At least people are looking. Maybe they didn't know what happened in Georgia. So the conversation's being had.
And a winner was declared after all the votes were counted. Ladies, we're going to have to leave it there. It's always great seeing both of you, and a happy Thanksgiving. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hey, low gas prices coming at just the right time for holiday drivers. How long will this relief last? And it's one of the most popular.
Clash with Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts over judicial bias. Today, the president's warning of what he calls bedlam, chaos, injury, and death if courts block his efforts to overhaul the nation's immigration laws. Former FBI Director James Comey says Republicans on the House Judiciary Committee have subpoenaed him to appear before a closed-door meeting next month. Comey says he would rather testify in open session. A published report says former Attorney General Loretta Lynch has also been subpoenaed. The European Union and Britain have agreed on a draft declaration about the future of their political relations after Brexit. This sets up EU approval this weekend. The UK and the EU agreed last week on a 585-page document sealing the terms of Britain's departure. Please join me for Special Report, 6 p.m. Eastern. We'll do it live. Now back to your world.
Think your Thanksgiving table is jammed? Get ready for the airports this weekend, where officials are expecting a record surge in air travel. To Casey Stiegel at the Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport on the holiday rush. Casey.
Hey, Charles, good to see you. Get this, about 829,000 passengers will travel right through here at DFW Airport for the Thanksgiving holiday. That makes it the fourth largest in the country in terms of passenger traffic, and airport officials here at DFW tell us that that is up about 4% this year compared to last. And in fact, same story really across the board for all U.S. carriers. According to the TSA, an estimated 30.6 million are expected to travel by air alone this year, compared to 29 million in 2017. So we all know that that can inevitably translate into long lines, packed planes, and those delays or cancellations. Though I've got to say, folks that we've talked to out here say it is just part of it.
I think it's gotten a little bit better. At least the facilities are nicer. So if you get stuck in an airport, sometimes it's okay. But, it is what it is. You're traveling. Got to expect those things.
That is the fun of the holidays. Yeah. And, if you want to get home and get to family, you want to eat, then, of course, you're going to bear the...
Oh, I love it. So it's an adventure.
It's an adventure, yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Cancellations
Memories.
And all.
Yeah.
I have to try and channel that good energy when my next flight is canceled, that look at it as an adventure. A bit more good news to pass along. If it feels like you're paying a lot for airfares, you're wrong. According to data by the Department of Transportation, airfares remain actually at historic lows when adjusted for inflation. In fact, a 5% decrease year over year, Charles, in airfare prices since 2010, actually.
All right.
Back to you. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks a lot. We won't talk about the bag fees, though. Casey, thanks a lot. We'll keep that positive energy going. Well, don't think you're going to get off easy by hitting the road when you head home. But even though you'll be hitting some traffic, you'll also be giving thanks for those lower gas prices. To FBN's Hillary Vaughn in Los Angeles with the latest. Hillary.
Hey, Charles, where more people are headed home for the holidays this season because gas prices are low. The price of oil is driving down prices at the pump, so more people are headed home. According to AAA data, 54.3 million people are going to be traveling in the 5 days before and after Thanksgiving. That's the highest number we've seen since 2005, and 2.5 million more people than we saw last Thanksgiving season travel. The average gas price is around the country is around $2.60 a gallon and falling, but the price of gas also just had its biggest 1 week drop we've seen so far this year. It's not just a cheap tank of gas, though, that's giving people the travel bug. AAA says consumers have a lot more to be thankful for this season, including higher wages, more disposable income, rising household wealth, but all that travel does mean more traffic. Over 48 million Americans will road trip to their turkey. If you are driving to your destination, be prepared to face a commute 4 times longer than normal in some cities. Now for the trip back home, Google Maps pulled their data from Thanksgiving travel last year. The worst time to travel is Saturday and Sunday evening, but the best time is at 4 a.m. on Friday when everyone else is still in a turkey coma. Charles.
All right. Thanks a lot, Hillary. Appreciate it. Well, helping bring down those gas prices, plunging oil prices off more than 20% since the beginning of October. But, that doesn't necessarily mean that your heating bills are going to get lower this winter. To market watcher Phil Flynn in the cold of Chicago. Phil, what are you watching right now?
Yeah. I mean, we're looking at right now the cold temperatures, and we're seeing record-breaking temperatures for this time of year in a lot of the country right now, Charles. And this is a concern for the heating bill market that you're going to have to pay. I think what Hillary saved you on the gas tank, you better save it for your heating bill if this is a forerunner of what we're going to see for the rest of the winter. I mean, already going into this winter, natural gas prices, where most people expect to heat their home with, basically have seen prices expected to jump by over 5%. But what we saw in the futures market last week, because of the early cold, we saw the biggest price spike in over 8 years, which means that if this cold weather hangs around, your heating bills could go up by 10 or 15%. Now, we did see that big break in oil, which helped keep heating oil prices down, and those prices probably won't go up quite as much. But I'll tell you this, heating oil supplies are below average for this time of year, and if this weather hangs on, I can't guarantee that the prices for heating is going to stay low all winter.
Phil, there's a major supply and demand element when it comes to oil. It's a global commodity. Is it more narrow with respect to natural gas? Is that one of the reasons why you're seeing this spike?
It really is. I mean, here in the U.S., Charles, we've been kind of taking natural gas for granted because we're the biggest producer in the world now, which something we thought was impossible just a few years ago. But now, because we've been so prolific in producing it, we're using a lot more of it. We're exporting a record amount of it, and we've been complacent when it came to building supplies for winter. This winter, we just assumed that supplies were going to be above average going into winter because we were producing so much. We didn't stop to think that the economy was on fire. We were using a lot more, right, and we never really built up those supplies. So when winter hit, all of a sudden prices spiked. All
right, Phil Flynn, stay warm, my friend. Appreciate it. Well, first it was Bernie versus Bezos over the minimum wage. Now, Bernie Sanders is taking on America's #1 employer, Walmart. Why?